This is almost my last presentation. So today we are very good on time so that we can at least hear feedbacks and stories from other people, Pastor Amon. So this for me is a very dear diagram. It took me about 5 months to complete this. And I think some of you, even from Eswatini, gave in some inputs. I remember asking some people and giving me some brilliant ideas to actually compose. There are 2 diagrams that are very complicated in my book. This one and the last one, which I've not even attempted to bring in this teaching, because that one, I needed to be with you face to face to explain it better. But this one will still help us. Everything that you are doing, ultimately you want to take it to the market. So the marketplace, the number of you that read about the scripture where Jesus talks about the young men shouting in the marketplace, they say, we sang, but you did not dance. Now, what that implies is that if you are in music, for example, and you are singing your music and people are not dancing, it could be that you need to recheck your music. Maybe the standards of your vocal cords needs to be reworked, or the way you are singing is actually out of tune. Maybe you are singing inspiration every morning, and your sound is not really bringing any inspiration as the song is trying to come out of your vocal cords. So Jesus is saying you can be singing in the marketplace, but maybe your gift is not singing. So try to go and find something that could be your gift that you can take to the marketplace other than being a singer. But you could also be a singer who is supposed to be required in the marketplace of singing, and yet you just spend your voice shouting and insulting your children or other people around you. Some of you have got very beautiful voices. I mean, we can tell from the way you shout at people to say, if this voice was used for music, I think this guy, this Baba would make a lot of money, or this man would make a lot of money in the marketplace. So let's look at the whole, the whole marketing model. Now, when you think of taking your product in the marketplace, there are these 3 dimensions: the market trends, market timing, and market tests. These are the 3 important dimensions in marketing. Now, when we talk market trends, you want to take your product to the market, it's always important for you to understand customer preferences. What is it that the customer is looking for? Many of us go into even planting crops when we have not yet discovered what are the customer preferences. So when you discover the customer preferences, you also assess their consumption patterns. These 2 elements are very important for you to take the product to the market. So how do you discover the customer preferences and consumption patterns? You need to follow this arrow. You do what we call the focused marketplace research. So you go into the marketplace to undertake a research, which is very, very focused in terms of the product that you want to take to the market. Now, as you are doing the focused marketplace research, it leads you into the timing arena, which talks about the product demand. So there you are looking at the demand, the product demand, which should inform product development. So I want you to follow that. That is very important. So you look at what are the customer preferences? What are their consumption patterns? So you take a journey into the marketplace to do a research, and you assess the product demand, and that will inform the product development. Very important. When you do this, you will move into doing what we call test marketing. Okay, so as you are developing this product, you develop a bit of product. So you can see this arrow, it's moving from here to this box where you have the tests. And so you test the market first. Don't take a lot of products, do test marketing. But as you are doing test marketing, always remember that you will also face marketing tests. And the Bible says, consider it pure joy when you face tests of various kinds. This is what the Bible is implying here. When you go into the market, you face various tests, but don't give up. As long as you've done a very good test marketing, that will inform you. Now, whether as you are meeting your customer preferences, you will enter the market on the basis of what you researched, the researched marketplace focus. So whatever products you are taking into the market should be based on what you researched around product demand that informed your product development. So you can see I'm having 3 arrows here. There's an arrow coming from top there. there's an arrow coming from here to this side, and then an arrow coming back there. Meaning when you test the market, you go back to assess the demand, and then you produce those products to take them back to the market. But even as you do that, you are still being confronted with what? Marketing tests. Okay, I hope that is clear. So let's go back and start anew. So we are in that arena and we start a journey going into the market. You will find that in the marketplace, there are opportunities and there is also opposition. So for you to maximize the opportunities that are in the marketplace, you need to position your product in a very strategic way so that your product will be accepted in the market. And you need to secure, make sure your product is secure. Don't allow people to steal your product ideas or brands anyhow. So secure your product and have it well positioned. Okay, on the side of opposition, definitely you will face opposition in the marketplace. As we said, you face tests. But then continue promoting your product. And to promote your product, a lot of sacrifice is required. So I hope I explained it very, very carefully. So you are trying to enter the market facing those dynamics. And what you need to do, you need to have very good strategies. A good strategy is one where you know you are facing the enemy, but the enemy cannot match your ideas because your strategy is probably better than the strategy of your enemy. Then your standards, your product standards must be very high also. If you have very good standards in your product and your strategies are good in terms of how you enter the market, a simple strategy, for example, would be you bring the products to the market when they are out of circulation or very difficult to find. So you start selling maize when maize is very minimal on the market. That is a strategy. The standards, make sure you have watered your maize very well so that they grow to the best, the best of standards. That way you have produced what we call a competitive product. A competitive product rests on two variables. The quantity must be good enough, but also the quality must be acceptable. I hope that is making sense. So both the quantity and the quality must be acceptable. Now, we are still journeying and we are now entering the market using what we call the integrated impact approach. Just when you are about to enter the market, you face two major forces. And this is what Paul speaks about in Ephesians. You face the regulators and their regulations. So Paul says, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities. The word principality comes from the word principle. And that word simply means chief executive administrator. This is the person who is responsible for regulating or endorsing regulations, regulating what goes into the market. So we are fighting principalities who are the regulators, who are part of the structures. So those are the principalities. And then he says we are also fighting powers, which are systems or regulations. I hope you are following that. So this is what Paul was talking about when he says our battle is against principalities, the chief administrators who are trying to hinder us penetrating the market. So since those are the people that we are wrestling against, how do we enter the market? It's through trade principles, coming up with principles that will convince the regulator that our product is worth being in the market. And the systems, it is the processes that we undertake, and that culminates into what we call principled trade. And when we have two of those variables, then we'll enter the market, okay? And to enter the market, for us to be comfortable in the market, then you have those principles that I've put there, which are very detailed in my book. And I've got about 65 points around just this diagram alone. Mainstreaming, you look at the different types of businesses that you are going to do, and sometimes you need to adjust. You know, when you see things are harsh in the marketplace, you would want to adjust. It also means adjusting how you eat your food at home sometimes so that you invest more into building the model. Then relationships, you build good relationships in the marketplace, which should of course be based on knowledge. Have knowledge about the product that you are taking to the market. Begin to expand. Don't remain in the same place. Okay, but be transparent. Sometimes your product may be out of circulation. Be open to your clients. Tell them you don't have this product. You are likely to have the same product in the few weeks to come. Be transparent enough around your market entry. Planning. So planning helps us to make sure that we are constantly flooding the market and we don't have a very big gap in terms of the time you produce, the time you supply the market, and the time the next product of a similar nature will come back to the market. Location is also important. Where you locate your business matters a lot. We talk about accountability. This is both financial accountability, accounting for the time, and being accountable to others or your colleagues within the same marketplace. Consistent. Be consistent with your product. Don't make your customer be frustrated because you're not consistently supplying your product. Then continue expanding your product, as it were. Now, the things that will help you to make it in the marketplace is good customer relations, which will help you to bring about customer retention, and then that will lead to customer replenishment. Now, I just got to know Pastor Amon many years ago. Pastor Amon now is making me link up with the 200 of you or more that I'm talking to right now. So imagine my relationship with Pastor Amon has gone a long way. I've retained my relationship with Pastor Amon, even though I left World Vision. But then Pastor Amon now has linked me to all of you that are on this forum. So it is the same way it works in the marketplace. If you have good relationship with your customers, the customers will lead you to other customers. So 2 things that I didn't talk about, your creativity and your competence. These 2, I call them secondary pillars in business success in the marketplace, which inform your scope and also your scale of business success respectively. But then there are these 2, which I call the primary pillars. The people are very important in your business, and then the products. These are the 2 things that you really need to focus on. The people that you are relating with, or even the people that you employ, and then the products that you produce in the marketplace.